free to bring anything else up when we get to that for
No,
sure.
that's just kind of jumped out at me when I was going through it again.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I do have 6 p.m., so we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're going to ask that everybody please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome in again, everybody. This is considered a special meeting Monday, May 18th, because we will not be meeting next Monday due to the Memorial Day holiday. So at this point, I'll have Ms. Woodward call roll, please.
Susan Bartow. Here. Jenny Benner. Here. Becky Ricketts. Here. Marty Sidebottom. Here. Vicki Stanley. Here. Amy Stuber. Here. Jim Yates.
Here.
And John Singler.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, and first order of business here is approval of minutes. We're going to go back to April 27th, which was a council meeting. Those minutes have been distributed. Does anybody have any changes?
Make a motion that we approve April 27th, council.
Thank you. We have a second from Mr. Yates. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those minutes passed. Thank you very much. Was it last week? Well, May 4th, special meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes for Monday, May 4th.
Thank you, Ms. Ricketts.
Second.
And a second from Ms. Benner. Thank you. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Those minutes passed. Thank you very much. As noted on your agenda this evening, Ms. Kaiser is on vacation. We'll just have Ms. Woodward read the beginning page of the treasurer's report, and we can try to answer any questions you might have.
The City of Linden Treasurer's Report as of May 1st, 2026. Beginning balance, $3,824,331.40. Receipts, $580,569.28. Disbursements, $855,740.11. And that gives an ending balance of $3,549,160.57.
Are there any questions from this most recent report that you might not have already reached out to Ms. Kaiser about? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on then. Chief Schroeder, sir, if you're ready. Police report, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So for the month of April, in the city of Linden, our officers did 93 documented activities through the Kentucky Ops system. Total for all areas was 266. One of the things I'd like to point out that they're really emphasizing is citations. If you look at the report, you'll see that the citations for this past month were almost half of what we had so far, and we're really hitting up Hirschborn Lane pretty heavy. We had those 2 fatals a month and a half ago on Hirschborn, so we're really doing a lot of activity. Some of that activity won't actually show up in the city of Linden when we do it on the map because of the structure of the roadway. It's hard for us to actually sit at some of the problem areas, so we're having to catch people either coming in or leaving from the area. But that is a lot of activity looking out for the safety of people traveling down that roadway. The accidents have just been terrible. Looking all told for the month, 80% of our activity was in Linden. If you look year to date, 81% of the activity is in Linden. I would like to highlight, again, I spoke a little bit about Officer Morrison last month and some of the activities she's done. She's worked this past month with 2 people that I think are really noteworthy. One was an elderly female who's experiencing some cognitive decline, and you may have seen her on Facebook. She's allegedly taking some stuff out of mailboxes. She was also involved in a pretty serious accident. Officer Morrison has worked with her family to help get her the assistance she needs. And also another lady was having some medical issues and lost her insurance. Officer Morrison was able to work through some of her contacts to find some folks that are currently helping her with those problems, getting her medical situation back on track. So that's the kind of thing we really like to see our folks really helping out in the community. A change that we'll see reportedly coming in June, the Brook Hospital is reportedly going to become an all-juvenile facility, which should change some of the dynamic. Unfortunately, we've already seen a couple incidents come up that I think might be reflecting what we'll see in the future. The first one, they had a juvenile escape who was looking to commit suicide by cop. He was an aggressive juvenile. We set a perimeter, looked for him. Middletown Police came and assisted us with that. Thankfully, we were able to eventually locate him and take him into custody without any incidents, but it highlights some of the dangers we have with dealing with juveniles and other people who are experiencing those type of crises. We had another juvenile who came in from Lexington who was destroying a lot of property on their facility. He was involved in an altercation with another juvenile in the facility and ended up taking that aggression out towards the facility and the staff members, and we were able to peacefully resolve that. But that will likely increase some of the incidents we see in that location. So with that said, I'll take any questions.
Chief, question, when you transport, so it's gonna be all juveniles, like under the age of 18?
That's what's been reported. Our officers, when they went there the other day, they were told that by staff. We had an incident with an adult male that went there and was causing problems, and the staff told them that. I contacted Sergeant Oberhausen with Metro, who runs, she's basically the head CIT person for the state as far as training-wise. She contacted some of her contacts at the hospital, and that's what they have advised her. I've not received anything formal from the hospital, but if that's what they're telling Sergeant Oberhausen, I'm fairly confident that's what's going to happen, and we are seeing an increase in the juvenile activity over there, so it all kind of makes sense.
So, another question, when you transport somebody downtown for mental health, whatever, does the city get reimbursed for that in any way?
No, that's just part of the price of doing business. When we transport in the CIT realm, that would be what's known as involuntary hospitalization, and we typically do that one of two ways. For adults, we take them down to the University of Louisville Hospital, and for the juveniles, we take them down to Norton Children's. That's just where it has been designated to take the children in this county. Occasionally, we will get one where we can voluntarily take them somewhere else, like Our Lady of Peace, but that's just the price of doing business.
I sat in on a legislative session from KLC today, and I could be wrong, but I was thinking that it's a lot of different House bills and Senate bills and everything else, but I was thinking there was something that, and I'll need to go back and look at it, regarding reimbursement if they have to, if in a mental health case, if we don't have a facility here, that we transport them some kind of reimbursement, but I don't hold your breath on it. I've got to look over all the legislative things that they went over again today, but it kind of caught me off guard when they talked about it.
Yeah, and that would really, honestly, 9 times out of 10 have to be something that comes from the state, because if it's one where the individual has to personally reimburse us, most of those folks that we're dealing with are in severe crisis. They don't have the financial means to reimburse us for the actual cost. So I would imagine we're going to be a lot like EMS or fire, where we're just stuck with the price of doing business.
Chief, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Where do we transport juveniles now that commit a felony, now that J.C. Lassie's closed?
So they're calling it the, let me see if I can remember, the Louisville Youth Transitional Facility. It's essentially the old JCYC. The physical facility of JCYC is closed, but they do have a new to us facility.
Same place at the old, there.
The new facility is on Broadway, East Broadway. I'm thinking in the 900 block, but I may be wrong on that.
Just curious.
Yep.
Any more questions?
So there's nothing happening with the facility that was in, we were repairing?
The state facility?
The state facility, the okay amount of talk, can I say?
Not that we've been told of. I haven't gotten any
So
updates.
is it still empty?
I don't know. I haven't got any updates on that.
No, they do have juveniles that go there. Once they get downtown, they go out to the one on LaGrange Road, and then they usually ship them to Adair County, because that's the only one that's really staffed to take anyone. That's the real
Like
trouble.
holding.
Yeah.
Those would probably be, folks who are being held for a court case or
Yeah.
folks that have been
Okay.
adjudicated for something. How it works for us typically on the street, we have to contact what's known as a court-designated worker, and we actually have to get their permission to transport them down to that facility. So it's not like an adult where we can just arrest him on site and take him to the jail. We actually have to contact that worker, get permission. Otherwise, we have to find a responsible adult and issue him a citation for whatever that particular charge is.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Chief. Okay, we're going to move on then. This meeting is technically also a tax rate hearing, so I'm going to let Mr. Singler go ahead and explain some of that to you.
So you introduced your tax ordinance at 0.13 per hundred, which is what your tax rate was last year. As we talked about, that's over the compensating rate. So we advertised in accordance with the state law to have a hearing tonight, so I'll read out the notice. The compensating rate for 2026, well, let's start in the previous year. The 2025 rate of 0.13 per hundred of assessed valuation produced $2,093,728. The compensating rate for 2026, the rate that would produce the same revenue as 2025, is 0.110 per 100 of assessed valuation. The 2026 proposed rate is 0.13 cents per hundred and would produce $2,485,092. The City of Linden proposes to exceed the compensating rate with the expected revenue spent on police protection and general government services. The General Assembly requires publication of this advertisement and the information contained herein. So the advertisement was published, and now you open the meeting to any public comment about the tax rate.
Is there any comments?
From,
Yes.
From us?
Go ahead. Anybody?
yeah.
Anybody in the room?
Okay, I'm going to propose that we lower that from the 13 cents and reasoning, and I'll go into some reasoning. It has nothing to do, first of all, with quote-unquote defunding the police. I don't want that to get out there that because I'm asking to lower the rate that I'm asking to defund the police any more than when I asked to lower the occupational tax, did I ask to defund the police. I look at all sides of the situation. When I speak to my neighbors, I speak to other council and mayors from other cities about these situations, and I look at the people that it's going to be affecting, and as far as like the occupational tax, even $25 a week, hell, $25 a month could really affect a person. Some people don't have that problem in their life, some do. And I feel the same way about the tax. There are two things to look at here. One of them is that you have huge amounts of inflation right now, and our gas prices are going up the roof. We don't know what that's going to be like coming up, and so we definitely have to have the money to fund the gas for our police force. And so, but we also look at the other side of it, where people were shocked when they got their new assessments. And I've had one neighbor tell me that if they keep the tax rate where it is, they would probably have to sell their home because it's an enormous amount of extra taxes on them. And so I want to look at both sides. So I think from my figures that they're a little bit different than yours, so I'm going to defer to your figures, but my figures are saying that if we go with a 0.115 tax rate, that while it is still raising taxes on those who own homes in town, it's not totally killing them, and it gives us an extra, I'm thinking 200 to 300,000, which is plenty, I feel, for inflation at this time. That's my thinking, and that's what I'm going to propose tonight, is that we lower this from 13 to 0.115.
So are you making a motion?
Are we at a
We're
motion
still-
stage?
We have to get out of the hearing
Yeah, we're not in-
first, and then when we get into the discussion of the ordinance, then you would make a motion to amend the ordinance.
Yeah, just make a comment that I totally agree with everything you're saying. And the reason why we consider keeping it the same is because we're only looking at an additional $200,000 with the rate staying the same. With the amount of appeals that are going to go through and the amount of refunds that we'll end up having to write, essentially we'll be making less than we are now when we keep this rate the same. I don't have all the calculations, but moving it down to .115 where we were 4 years ago is going to be, we're going to have to, first of all, start back to the drawing board here with our budget that we're getting ready to present tonight. But
I thought I took that from your budget, part of it from your budget.
yeah, $2,018,500 is the property tax projected to bring in for this year's budget.
Unfortunately, we're so.
Last year we
we're
made
behind on the
one-
budget, nobody's fault, but we are behind on the budget, so I'm just not seeing it.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can't,
Okay, but
Go back
I'm
out.
just letting that comment be
Okay,
said,
sorry.
so we can continue with discussion if
Yes.
you'd like.
yes. Finish.
Need to ask for anybody.
Anybody from the floor have any comments? Please come up. You're welcome to.
Just on that, because math nerd, are we still looking at, I don't know the proper terminology, but the neighborhood, couple streets of the homes that we're wanting to become a part of the city of Linden? When we take those people on, if and when, would that balance out
We're only
mathematically?
looking about $3,000 to $4,000 a year with those additional homes on that one street.
Right, so like rolling that in.
It costs that much to pick up their trash.
Yeah, that's what I was going, that's where I was going with that, between snow removal, trash, and services with them. You know, can you explain to everybody like how that would line up with everything else? If we go,
It's pretty much a wash
about
at
the
this
same, it'd be
point
the
with
wash.
that many houses and not having any kind of business with any more residential that we take
Right.
on. Essentially, we're paying more for the street lights that we now have to take over, the trash, the snow removal,
Right.
depending on how long the street is, all the other services. When
Yeah.
the average tax bill for those houses over there is about $350 to $390 a year to the city of Linden. The trash collection alone for each house is around $320. So
Okay.
you got a few dollars left over.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that does, moving it down to .115. But at the end of the day, the .115, just based on, because I'm not a mathematician.
Right.
We're going to end up
It should
bringing
be
in less
close.
than we've brought in the last few years.
or maybe what about like 0.118 or 119 or something?
Yeah,
You know?
You're throwing them
Just
out, yeah.
Keep doing the math, that's all I got.
I think Ms. Rick had suggested last time that we see how it goes, because it took us 7 or 8 years to go from 11 cents to 13 cents.
Oh, well,
And we get
then
reassessed every
with-
4 years. so-
Yeah, well then with the police department being paid off, that should free up additional funds as well if everything is staying the same.
They've got several capital projects that are
And that's gonna
about the
replace
same
it?
amount of money, right?
Gotcha, cool. That's my only questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Friend, can
Anybody
you-
else from the floor?
Yeah,
Yep.
can you show me, can you tell me what was put in the budget for property,
Projected property tax revenue, $2,018,500.
okay, property?
That's on your front page. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but just, if you're looking at the worksheet or the ordinance, the worksheet has it broken down. Property taxes current year, year-to-date, $2,086,623. We projected $2,090,000 in the budget, so we're $4,000 away from that. We brought in more property taxes from delinquencies than we have in a long time, almost $7,000. Then we provide a 10% discount on your property tax rate, which more people need to take advantage of. But if you pay 30 days early, you get 10%. And that discount rate took off $187,991 from last year's taxes. Then your interest and penalties from folks was almost $11,000. So if you put all four of those things together, you're looking at a net total for property tax of $2,018,500. And like I explained about the assessments, This number is just saying nobody gets their appeal given to them. These numbers came from the PVA, so imagine how many people have filed their appeals that were going to win their appeals because the PVA is trying to do the best they can to help everybody with that. And the discount is going to be less than what we brought in the last 2 years. So you can change the discount, get rid of the discount, or saying St. Matthews has kept the same tax rate for a long time. They have a 40% discount, but their tax rate's 21 cents or so.
20 cents.
20 cents now. So we're still very low relatively with all the other cities that are right next to us. It's Jefferson County that's the ones that are really messing with everybody, and school board and whatever.
Okay, so the number that you plugged into property tax on our budget is the number after discounts and things like that?
Correct.
Because it's less than
Just what
the
we,
number I came up with 11.5 cents.
right, so did you take into account the discount of 10%?
Did not.
So that's almost $200,000
Let's take that
of
off.
assessment. We started discussing this last month, I think, so.
We did.
Yeah. Up to you, though. Any more comments?
I mean, I agree with the things that have been said. I would prefer to drop it, I said this before, to 0.11. I think if you're looking at the discount rates too, if it's a lower tax rate, then the discounts won't be as high because of that. It's kind of, it matches up. I think that, as was pointed out the last time we spoke about this, it would be a 20% increase in taxes, and that just seems astronomical to me, especially with our times. And I think that our budget can support not raising it to that, because we have carryover money. So I don't think it will put us in any financial issues, having any issues with that. So I would like it to be 0.11.
Okay.
Have you discussed this you're part of the budget committee. Has the budget committee discussed this and come up with a number? Sharon, yes. And what
Becky
can answer it.
I think I'm the chair.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No, not really.
Oh, yes, we did.
Well, yeah, that's true. We did talk about it, and we decided to leave it at the 0.13. But,
Because it wasn't that issue isn't really up to the budget committee.
Yeah.
So we left it the way it was
Yeah.
because we're not able to change that. That's up to the city council to do. That's our action.
we don't have the authority to change that on the budget committee. We can make a recommendation, but we don't have the authority.
So are you making a recommendation?
I am as myself.
But not as a committee?
Hold on. We got to take more comments, and then we can move on to that discussion when we get into the ordinance reading. Is there any more public comment from the floor? Of course.
Good evening. Earlene Grice Owens, and I want to say that I really appreciate the council members taking into account both the budget, the fuller budget in terms of police, what the police department needs and requires, and what the rest of the community, including, as Councilmember Stanley said, folks who, this would be a significant onerous change for folks, given everything else that's going on in terms of the cost. And I think it's an important point. I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying something to me. Excuse me, sorry.
Certainly not.
It's also an important point that there is an overage in the budget, is my understanding, from having been in these meetings and looking over several years. So the fact of that being a almost normative thing that happens, it seems to me a fair, as a community member, a fair consideration that some of that would be not returned, but essentially returned back to us as taxpayers. So that in terms of fairness, if we're looking at where the monies go, and each year there's an overage in the budget, then thinking of this as a family budget, then it might mean that some of that would be returned to, say, the groceries that we have to pay. So that being said, I want to say that I have gone to some of the budget committee meetings, and I am, talk with a lot of the council members. And I appreciate also the distinction that Councilmember Bender made in terms of the role of the budget committee being advisory, and then that the role of the council is to act on that, those advisory matters, but also to be clear about that role distinction. So thank you for considering lowering it, and I support that, and like Councilmember Stanley had said earlier, of talking with other folks, including folks who maybe are not in the same income bracket as some of us, the way that would affect their lives. Thank you.
Sharon, what's your opinion?
We gave it a lot of thought. I do not feel, I just sat here thinking, I need to pull a calculator. If you take the,
Sharon.
I think we can hear. It's fine. Yes, it is.
I wanted to pull out a calculator, because I think on my home, I'm gonna say there was a $50,000 difference. Now, if anybody has a calculator, I'd sure appreciate the effort here. What is 1.13% of that, and what is 1.1?
Did everybody on the council get this worksheet that Ms. Kaiser did? It's the compensating rate calculator. So to just go with what Ms. Stanley was saying, the rate allowing a 4% increase in revenue from real property does come to 0.114. That is the rate that would allow us without a hearing to have a 4% increase, which many cities take. That projects revenues of $1,908,599.92. So a couple $100,000 less than the 13 cents, yes, but the calculations were already done for us at the 0.114. And I'm sorry that I interrupted you at your calculator, but I just wanted to make note that that was
the perfect
that
timing.
number is right there.
No, 650, it's 1%, not 10%. So on that 50,000, under the old, it's $650. Under the new, it's $550. Or under what you're proposing, it's $550. So I would save $100.
Yeah.
Now, if I paid it last year, I don't think that $100 is going to make.
You're paying $100 less than last year?
So it would be 100, yeah, if my home has an assessed value $50,000 higher, the tax rate on that 50,000 under 1.3%, or you guys like to say 0.13, was $650. If you do it at 1.1%, it's $550.
But it's $550 more than you paid last year.
Invest in the investment.
Correct,
Yes.
because you should have to be rolling in the entire amount of the home.
Yes.
Correct.
No,
The entire
but,
amount of the home that's last year versus the entire
So it's
amount
$550 more.
this year.
yeah, it's gonna be $550 more. I mean, that's the math to it.
But that's just for the city.
And yeah, that's for the city. Now,
And that's $4,500 a month.
a lot of people haven't filed for their homestead exemption. And I was lucky, it almost zeroed out, which was just a chance. I feel that if you've been paying something and the public is used to paying that amount, changing it now isn't gonna make that big of a difference. Because next year, if you increase it, increases always look bad. Decreases, if you will notice, and they'll appreciate, but a whole lot more people are going to get upset at an increase. They'll be more vocal about a tiny increase than they are about a tiny decrease.
So that justifies what I'm suggesting, because what is being proposed is a 20% increase, and I'm proposing a decrease.
I disagree with that, but my numbers.
Okay. Okay. Any further comment? Hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing portion of this and move forward in the agenda with your ordinance number 42726, second reading, ad valorem tax ordinance. Mr. Singler.
All right, so you've got your ordinance 42726. This sets your tax rate for the upcoming year. The ordinance that's in front of you is .13 per hundred, which is the rate from last year. So the ordinance is ready for action. You can take action to adopt this ordinance. You can take action to adopt it as amended. And so it's ready for action.
Well, I'd like to adopt it as amended to .11. I'd make a motion to adopt it as amended to .11.
I second.
114 or 11 like the calculations?
.110.
You're still taking money away. 110.
And what if I want to make a motion to adopt it to the .115?
The motion's been made, so we have to deal with the motion on the floor that's been seconded.
Okay.
All right. So those in favor say aye of motion
Well, no,
presented?
well, because it's an ordinance,
What about the,
she's making a motion to adopt ordinance 42726 as amended. That was seconded. So because it's a second reading of an ordinance, we need a roll call vote.
all right. Very good. For the amendment to 11, since Ms. Woodward?
Susan Bartow,
Yes.
Jenny Benner,
Yes.
Becky Ricketts,
Yes.
Marty Sidebottom,
No.
Vicky Stanley,
No.
Amy Stuber,
Yes.
Jim Yates.
No.
Okay. So it does pass 4-3. Reduction of the rate to .110. So it wouldn't matter if you change your mind now, Ms. Stanley, so. Move forward, okay. Ordinance passes 4-3. 42726, tax rate established at .110. All right. Not sure this matters much now, but we can discuss that as far as if this budget first reading is going to drastically change, which doesn't look like it yet, but we're going to have to go back to the workshop and do some calculations. But nonetheless, since we're all here, and this is the first time most of you in the council are seeing this, if you weren't part of the budget committee, you all have a packet that's stapled together in your stack of paperwork there. The first page is the ordinance table, 51826. The next two pages are my budget message, but I'd like you to go all the way back to the worksheet. Page 1 of 5 says City of Linden General Fund Proposed 2026-2027, and it should say version B. This was taken by the Budget Committee from my initial budget projections, and they spent several meetings working on it, as we discussed before, and I'm thanking them for their efforts. And then I met with them, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and we kind of came to a consensus on what we were going to present to the council. So everybody strap in for just a minute, but we're going to go through this line by line and explain as much as possible. Ask me some questions if you have any. If I can't answer them, Ms. Ricketts was the chair of that committee. So your first column, Proposal B, is the proposal for the first reading of the budget. Your middle column is your year-to-date expenses from April 30th. And the third column was the budget that we're currently under. I'm going to go through and just read what's in Proposal B, beginning with the property taxes for current year. Again, that said $2,200,000. You bring in property taxes from prior years, the projection is $3,500. The 10% discount on that $2.2 million is $195,000. Interest and penalty on the taxes projected at $10,000. And those four things, again, come together to make up that other number that I told you, and I just lost it, 2,018,500. So those four go together on the table on the front page as that number. Okay, insurance premium tax. That is a 8% rate on most of the insurance except for health for citizens in Linden, and that's $2.2 million. Business licenses, $31,000. ABC alcohol licenses, $47,000. Your property rental fee, that's for the carriage house in Ramara Place, is $2,500. Your occupational tax remains the same with the 0.75 rate at $4 million projected. Franchise income is $30,000. That might be the only thing that could be a little bit under because of the Lumos agreement if they ever come and start putting fiber throughout the city. But those are the type of thing, AT&T and Lumos, the franchise income that we receive from them, but that's $30,000.
So it could be a bigger number?
It could be, but not by much. I mean, we brought in $36,054 year-to-date this past year, so, but it's not going to be much. Litter abatement is a grant from the state. They reimburse the city for hours spent trash bags and materials for cleaning up litter in the city, so that's goes right back into some of the general government expenses. We have a bank franchise tax. It's a very small fee on deposits held in banks within the city, but I'm not sure if they got rid of that at the state level, but we haven't received any money from that at all in the last 3 years. So we only have two banks.
It's still in place, and if we're not getting that, then we need to
check on it
because
we lost two banks since we did one, so
it should be around 40,000 a bank.
Is it?
Yeah, so I mean, it can be a very significant source of revenue. Now, some banks don't qualify.
That's probably why.
People think are qualified banks, but they're not, like
credit unions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have a true bank or a credit union?
You know, the only one could be Eclipse Bank on Hurstbourne Lane. We have Farm Bureau, I believe, or what's the one on
Advance.
by the library? Advance. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
They don't
it does
Let me find
deserve
out
some
on that.
checking because other cities have that as a significant source of revenue.
Is it .00125 or something? Just
Yeah, it's a small
0.1%.
percentage of the deposits they have on hand at that branch. But it turns out to be pretty significant because of the amount of money that is reported through each branch.
Yeah.
And so it can be significant. But like I say, credit unions don't qualify, and that might be your issue.
Okay. We will look into that, and maybe some good news on that end. Before the second reading, at least, to find out. Interest earned, back to it. Interest earned investments projects $70,000. City facilities rental income, that includes this room and then the pavilions at Robeson Park as well as Ramara Place, $7,000. Police protection contracts, as the rates stand today with the addition of Graymore Devondale from last year, the projection is $450,000. The CLEF money, which is reimbursed to us by the state, is $138,000. Intergov Police is a House bill that gives us money back from citations, I believe it is, and anything else that, like speeding tickets and the court costs, we get $15,000 back from the state on that. And then other income is $10,000. In years past, or at least the last 2 years, your opioid settlement fund was included in that other income, but we put it back down to $10,000. But that will include municipal or what we're getting ready to do tonight. When we sell a police car or anything else, we call it a surplus sales. So $10,000 is a baseline number. For that total revenue is $9,025,200. We have $500,000 in CDs. We're going to have $12,525,200 in total funds available, and that includes $3 million that would be in the bank by July 1st. So all those revenues plus the carry forward balance makes your total funds available, which we're getting ready to talk about in appropriations. So move on to your next page, your general fund, general government expenditures, beginning with salaries. It's $247,562. There is a proposal for an additional part-time office worker and then 2 part-time maintenance employees, public works employees. Elected officials compensation, $140,400. County fees, which is lien releases, it's $1,200. Facilities manager is the manager at Ramara Place, and it's $20,000. Your general insurance for vehicles and structures and everything else is $250,000. Employees, and that's office employees, insurance, $50,000. Retirement system contribution for non-hazardous employees is $55,418. We have an HRA account, which is a health reimbursement account for those that would like to go that way versus the health savings. That's a $2,000 budget. It just depends on who wants to go that route. They can make that choice here in the next 30 days, within the next 30 days. Professional fees, you see there, that's an increase of $75,000 to $175,000. That includes Mr. Singler, that includes any kind of contract work that we have, and includes ethics attorney and also the now $50,000 auditor, which is in there for this time. Engineering consultant, we have an engineer on retainer. It costs $17,000 a year for whenever we need it for anything concerning roads or infrastructure. Miscellaneous is $3,500. Office supplies and repairs is $8,000. We have a copier that's on a lease, and then paper and some other things that I think the lease is going to change amount. That's why it's at $8,000 instead of, it's gone up because we've spent $8,061, if you'll notice there, year to date, but something in there that I can't recall. It's not going to be as much this year, sorry. And that's a good thing. Newsletter, $8,200. That's for postage and printing and composing the newsletter. Postage to send those newsletters and all the other letters that we send homeowners for leaf letters and tax bills and everything else is $6,000. City Hall Ramara maintenance. Ms. Ricketts asked about this, just for some clarification. Like if I got to call a plumber or if I got to buy parts for something for plumbing, toilet, electrical, whatever, that is the type of maintenance we're talking about. That's, or HVAC, $15,000. We haven't gotten to that point in all the years that I've been here, I don't believe, but it's always a good practice, I think, to keep those a little bit inflated just in case. So your buildings and building grounds and supplies and repairs, that kind of sounds like the same thing as maintenance. Ms. Kaiser's not here and I don't have other notes, but we're looking at, it used to have a roof replacement in there last year. They've moved that to capital project. That was $10,000. City Hall floor maintenance, well, that's in there, but it costs about $400. We project $500, and that's for annual buff and shine of the floors outside. Building and grounds telephone, yeah, it's expensive, is $15,000. Building and grounds utilities, and that includes all city facilities except for police. So those were all pulled out, and they're in their own public safety category. The utilities is $110,000. That also includes the water for the splash park in the summertime. Grounds maintenance is basically our contract with our, with currently it's Lawnco, but it's $110,000. Travel for myself and council and any of the staff that needs to go training is $8,000. Payroll tax expense, that what's comes off your payroll is $35,000. Advertising for the billboards for summer festivals, mostly what we use that for, is $2,500. Dues and seminars, mostly to KLC and any other training that elected officials need to go through, including the staff, $18,500. Grant funding requests, it's been per usual, is $25,000. Hazard mitigation is mostly tree work and hazardous trees within the city, including parks and right-of-ways. That's $55,000. The TIPS program is $750, and the TIPS program is something that we We have a gentleman that goes to hotels, bars, anybody that holds ABC licenses, gives training to the bartenders and employees to help them save on some insurance, but also gives them some foresight about over-serving and everything else. Yes, ma'am?
Quick question.
Okay.
Quick question on the grant funding.
Yeah.
I thought we were a little closer. Have we not paid?
We still have, Bowen Elementary has to send us the thing. Yeah, yeah, it's all accounted for, it just hasn't gone out of our checking account yet.
Can we make sure it comes out this fiscal year?
She's working on that, yeah. We're going through JCPS for one of the things. Property Valuation Administration, we pay the PVA $40,000 a flat fee every year for access to their records and for them to print all of the tax bills at the rate that you just approved. That's $40,000. Your Reach Alert system and volunteer appreciation, although I'm not sure why that's on there, but it's the Reach Alert system's $5,000. Core area maintenance, that includes right up here at the intersection where we just had a traffic accident. Notice some of the brickwork is messed up, but also the clock tower area, that's considered the core area. City domain name, we haven't had to renew that in a long time. KLC uses it, but nonetheless, it's still on here just in case. It's $200. And our IT services are still at $72,000 for our occupational tax platform and Technology Plus, who does all of our tech here, and that's 72, but it's not going to be 72 again this year, although Ms. Benner and some of you others might need to have new laptops, and I know we still need to convert one of the computers in the office, but it's definitely not $72,000 worth, but there's several annual subscriptions and things that we still have to pay, but we've only done $29,194 year to date. It's probably another $10,000 before the end of the year, but it's a generous, inflation of that number. So that'll be one thing that we'll save on at the end of the day. So anyway, total general government projections is $1,509,230. Moving on to capital projects, this is Public Works shop parking. The Public Works facility, we've talked about that before. We're putting a fence around that parking lot. Need to have another little garage built just to house the equipment that we've acquired. But then 7 parking spaces adjacent to that shop for the public. So five parking spaces, 2 handicap spaces, and then a driveway for our different festivals and farmers markets when we need to have overflow parking to be separated from our Public Works shop to keep those things contained and safe, fenced in. Linden Lane Streetscape, if you notice, that project should be done finally before the next budget, but I did ask for $30,000, and that's for the Beautification Parks Committee and some other things, hoping to get some kind of artwork, flags on the light poles, maybe planters or whatever, maybe benches, whatever the beautification committee comes up with, but there's $30,000 in there for that just in case. Police headquarters, we thought that was done, but there's an issue, and there has been an issue with the stairs that are on the side of the building, and it's been an issue with the parking lot, so we're proposing a redesign of that. That's $15,000, and it's probably just demolishing the brick stairs that are there that weren't really ever code, but to do a stairwell that really flows better with the parking lot and allows for some safety for our officers as well as visitors alike. Don't have any quotes on that, but I did ask for some money to be put in there for now. Public Works equipment, and that's for snow removal and another replacement of the truck that we currently have. I don't have any quotes or prices on that, but $80,000 would be the bare minimum for what we need on that. It's possible we have to replace a lawnmower, and those are about $13,000. So any number of those things could all go into that Public Works equipment. Your street widening program, which we've done one road this past year, but I'm asking for another $1 million, and that's going to be concerning Warwick, Finley, and Vinecrest areas through that business corridor that snakes back in through the neighborhoods, which is substandard in width, to say the least. And so I'm not going to just pave a 13-foot road, it needs to be 18-foot. So that money mostly would go into that, as well as some of the streets, hopefully, if we can make that work behind Bowen. We've talked about that before, last year, Prospect, Wilson, Pershing, Military, all those. Roof replacement, City Hall, we definitely need a new roof and some siding and some other work done here. That is a little bit, I'm not going to say, I'll say it, but overzealous is the word that I think of, but $150,000. But in the event that it doesn't cost that much, obviously, we're going to know before we do a second reading of this budget, so maybe we can tighten that up a little bit and put it somewhere else. But for right now, that's what we've got, $150,000. Total capital projects, $2,365,000. That is down from last year, but I will mention the parks had $2 million in it. We're working on spending some of that right now. We're going to spend some more, but the suggestion and the general consensus, I believe, within that committee was that if we do have those capital projects for the parks, that they should be financed over a longer period of time instead of paying for everything on the front end, so that we can, obviously, and lowering the tax rate so that we can disperse these things throughout the necessary things to take care of general government, police, what have you, public works. But I think that's okay. KLC provides great financing services and everything else, just like a mortgage on a house. But if you're going to have something for 30 years, then why not, pay a little at a time on it? So that's the reduction from $1 million from last year. But in any event, we're not going to let that hold us back. I'll just say that Beautification Parks Committee is making great headway in a lot of different things here in the city, and don't let that number hold you back from your thoughts, because we can make it work. Okay. All right. So that roof replacement that I mentioned, that it got moved to capital projects, so that's $150,000. Okay. We're done with that. Sanitation and recycling. Our Rumpke contract there's a trigger on that because of gas prices. They've raised our monthly fee for gas 1.5%. So I don't know when that's going to end, but the projection is $940,000 for sanitation and recycling services for 3,700 parcels. All right. Public Works streetlights, $205,000. Basically, that pays the utility bill, but then anytime a stretch of or a street asks for and signs a petition to get LED light conversions, we pay for those on the front end as well. But $205,000 is there. Street supplies and maintenance, $50,000. Leaf removal under contract for this next year is $81,000 for 2 pickups for each residence. Street sweeping, they come in the middle of the night, $9,500. Street snow removal, it's been $25,000 for several years, but that's what we would pay when we have to call in contractors and additional help. Total public works, $370,500. We're gonna move down almost there. Community development, beautification project, $5,000, and more recently that number kind of goes over to the beautification committee and anything that they might see that they want to spend some money on. There's $5,000 in the coffers there. Forestry programs, $30,000. That includes arborists, planting trees. It's $30,000. Parks, community development, any programming or anything else is $23,500. Community events, though, like including our farmers market now, the summer festival, the fall festival, the light up event, $140,000. So total community development is $198,500, and that's $7,500 more than it was last year. That's due to a few things, not necessarily all farmers market, but cost of everything has gone up. All right, now we're on public safety, police, almost to the end. There's several category or line items here, but salaries are now $2,575,916. That's up from $2,360,500. KPPA employment, that's the retirement system for hazard duty for all 2930 officers that we have. Is contribution is $682,117. That contribution has steadily gone down over the last several years, away from 50% to more like, and I don't have that right in front of me, it's 30 or 29 now for the contribution for Anyway, it's gone down
I
like
think it's going down to 35. It's
35,
37
okay.
now.
So it's gone down to like 12. Yes, sir, okay. But that's going down, thankfully. Police community outreach, $2,500, and police detectives online data, that's for subscriptions for some of the things that the detectives need to use. $2,650. Equipment for police, things that go in the car, other things to outfit our officers, $69,755. General insurance for all of the things the police department, including the building, vehicles, anything else that needs to be insured, $80,000. Health insurance, as we spoke to the committee before, they still have a few weeks here to make their declarations for insurance. This number could change. I don't see it changing a whole lot, but nonetheless, it could, $234,600. Headquarters utilities, $30,000. The police, let's call it the health reimbursement account, that's $17,000. And again, that's if officers declare that they want to be reimbursed and not do the health savings that through KLC's insurance that the city contributes $1,000 for the individual or $2,000 for families to that cause. IT services for just police alone, $55,064. Kentucky Office of Highway Safety overtime, which they do reimburse 100%, but that's $5,000. Longevity awards, several different tiers. Officers can get a bonus, so to speak, for how long they've been with this department, not just Linden, but Graymore Devondale before we took them over. Let that go over is $12,480. Office supplies for police headquarters, $5,200. Overtime, if needed, $15,000. Payroll tax expense for payroll tax expenses, $187,500. Software licensing for the police and all the things within their cars and their issued cell phones, $17,500. Training, $32,300. Uniforms, $1,640. Vehicles, $445,539. That is gas, that is lots of different things, but you'll notice that's a bigger jump in one of these categories, but we are going to move on to getting rid of, I think it's 6 to 7 current vehicles that were purchased used. When we first started the police department, they had 30-something thousand miles on them when we got them. They're already pretty much at the end of the life. They're spending more time in the shop than they really need to. We have 1 car per officer plus a few additional for backups. Those backups are also being heavily used because mainly the Dodge Chargers are always in the shop. So the committees discussed this. We're doing a rotation. I think it's 7 or 8 or 9. How many vehicles did we say it was? 8 this time, but it's going to be less moving forward. It's just we need to replace some of those vehicles. They will be leased through the lease program that we do now. So that's more like instead of spending $80,000 per vehicle right up front, I think it's what? I don't have that. 10. Do you remember that? Yeah, divided by 4 years for each vehicle. So that's just a better way to go. For most departments do that anyway. By the time you outfit them, upfit them, all that stuff. It's going to end up, keeping vehicles out of the shop too. So this is a larger number for this year, but it's not going to continue at that rate. Wellness for police, that's $8,000. For total public safety, $4,479,761. And the last thing is called the Kentucky League of Cities Investment Pool. We're hoping to put $500,000 from the general fund into that investment pool, which they've opened that up to more than just CDs for cities now. They invest in mutual funds and some other things that are allowed for municipal governments to grow their money more than a normal CD would. So we're going to take advantage of that. So it's been within the last 3 or 4 years that they've started that program. So the interest the city receives should start increasing as those things go up. Total expenses, $10,362,991. So as it stands with the projections from the tax rate that we had on there, the ending fund balance still would be a healthy $1,662,209. So reducing the tax rate, we're still going to have money in the bank. It's not going to be $1.6 million difference. And just looking at this again, I don't know if there really needs to be a whole lot changed with this budget document moving forward into the second reading, other than just making sure that we get the correct numbers for that property tax revenue. Just so that can be on your paperwork. The insurance, like I said, that could change. So there's a few things to be changed, but it's not a substantial change to where we're going to have to read this again as a first reading. I don't think. I mean, we're not talking, we've done that before, but I want to make sure.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So with that, is there any questions? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, where is the police budget that was provided to you?
Well, the police budget was provided me February or March. The committee got it. The committee looked over it.
That's great. I would love a copy of it as well.
Okay, I think we can find that. Do you, Ms. Ricketts is committee chair. Do you have the one that's been changed? Well, the police budget is what I've just read. So all those things, it's basically the budget. So what are you looking for? What detail are you looking for?
I'd like to see a breakdown of the vehicles in terms of gas, and I've asked
I see
for an
what you're saying.
amortization schedule now. This is the second year at least that I've asked for it. So I would love to see the plan for the cars, for the officers, because it's not like after 4 years of paying for those cars, we're not going to need more, right? We have other officers, so there should be a plan.
We're not proposing adding any new officers. We're just replacing. what
Right,
we
no,
have.
I'm well aware of that, but, well, I'm not well aware of your staffing plans, but I'd like an amortization schedule.
Okay, we'll find one of those. I'm sure it's available, right? We got that broke down.
I mean, because there
Yes,
should be
sir.
a plan, right?
There is a plan. Yeah,
To replace the vehicles?
yeah, we have that. It's what I just discussed. We're getting rid of quite a few, and then we're gonna replace them with other ones, and we're gonna roll on with the schedule, with not 9 every year, but like 3 to 4 or less, until we get to a point where it's just every 4 to 5 years, depending on the need, that we're rolling cars out and putting cars in.
So if we pay $80,000 for a vehicle and it's $20,000 a year for 4 years, how are we not, we're done after 4 years, right?
But I'm saying 80,000 times 9?
Right. I'm just talking about one vehicle, right?
Sure.
Just one in general. So if we are paying 40,000 or 20,000 for a year, and for 4 years, that's 80,000, then we're done with the car at the end of the 4 years and we sell it, is that right?
Under that program, we're also not doing as much maintenance with those things, or if it's ours.
Okay, that's fine, but will you answer my question?
I'm in circles with you most of the time, so we can get you
There's
that
no circles, I
amortization.
just asked a question. After the 4 years,
That makes
are we
sense.
done with the car? Or does that mean we buy a new one?
Depends, it's
Or
paid for at
lease a
that
new-
point, but yeah,
Lease a new one?
4 years.
it doesn't have to be, but let's let Deputy Chief Thomas, you tell me.
It's a 4-year lease.
Yeah,
Okay,
that makes
Just
sense.
because that lease is up, doesn't mean we replace that car.
Right.
okay.
That car may still be in service, depending on the maintenance that it's having on it.
That's what I'm trying to
So,
achieve, Lester.
the goal is, we talked about this in our budget committee meeting. The reason we need so many this time is because those Chargers are costing us arm and a leg. We have 2 of them that carry right now. We had 3 of them last week. They're all overheating, huge issues. So what we talked, Mr. Ricketts asked this direct question right to me. So after this 8, I think next year we probably only need maybe 1 or 2. And then after that, I really think we need to get on a rotation of 3 to 5, and don't lock me into that number, it depends on the fleet, but 3 to 5 every year, and just continually keep that rotating. And like I said, 1 year it may be 2 or 3 vehicles, 1 year it may be 4. You know, it just depends on what the fleet is like, but those vehicles are ours after the lease, they're the
Okay.
city limits.
Right.
Thank you for
Nothing gets
clarifying.
All right.
I've never leased a car, and every lease that I've ever heard of, you only have it for the term of the lease. I've never heard that
Or you
you.
buy it out, but
Right.
the way these leases work is when that lease is up, that vehicle is the city limits vehicle.
Okay, thank you for
You're
clarifying.
welcome.
Thank you, I get it now.
Just an accounting
Very good.
FYI.
Yeah.
Leased vehicles are not amortized.
Shay's looking for a detailed breakdown of some of those things on the line item, like I said, because there is several things. So thank you, Ms. Morris. She wants fuel in there. Okay, are there any more questions from what I just read out? You all have it in your packet. All we need now, unless you have any major changes.
Motion for introduction of the board budget ordinance. is what you need.
I'd like to make a motion for the budget ordinance 5/18/26 first, first reading.
Motion for introduction of ordinance 5/18/26.
Motion for introduction, Ms. Ricketts.
Motion for introduction to 5/18/26.
Is there a second?
A second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Singler, do we need to have, are you reading this off or has it been read off?
No, the mayor went through it line by line, so that's a sufficient first
Okay.
reading by
Yes, sir.
summary, more than sufficient.
Thank you, very good, sir. We're going to move forward.
Just one more, I want to make sure that I acknowledge, I know Ed's not here, but the committee, the budget committee was a really great committee. It was a very, I don't know, we were very congenial. And so Sharon Morris, Deputy Chief Thomas, Councilwoman Jenny Benner, and Ed Haynes were on the committee. So, and we will continue to meet quarterly to look at variances and make sure we stay on task with where our money is and where it's been projected. So we will be meeting again, but probably not till the middle of October.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Budget Committee.
Thank you. Yes, one other thing you're going to have in your packets, though, that needs to be said at a meeting is your municipal road aid proposed use budget, and that's at the bottom of your packets. I just want to go over that really quick. The municipal road aid is a separate fund we receive from the state on the gas tax, and since the announcement of the hiatus of the tax at the moment, but anyways, our current fund balance there in that account is $924,444.66. When I printed this and made this up, the anticipated receipts from that gas tax was $265,000. That was a little more than what we brought in before, but it's likely not going to be that much depending on the fuel issue here that we're in. Total available for appropriation, though, nonetheless, is $1,189,444.66. So, proposed projects and appropriations. This is different from a different fund from your general fund and the things that I just read out about street widening. This also has a little bit of widening, but also mainly resurfacing. From that account, projected to have $400,000 spent. $40,000 for sidewalks, repairs, or new construction. Signage is $10,000. That's road signage. If anything gets damaged, needs to be replaced, that can come out of road aid fund. So there's $10,000 for that. Repairs, any city-owned streets that may need repair during the course of the year is $30,000. Miscellaneous, $500. Total appropriations from the road aid fund, $480,500. With an estimated ending fund balance on June 30th, 2027 of $708,944. This is pretty much the same year over year. We haven't quite spent as much as we proposed every time. So Appendix 1 is included on this, and the proposed projects and appropriations are what we're really supposed to say out loud here at a meeting. Last year, we had Ormsby Lane widening and some other things. Now, we've carried over this North Ormsby Lane alley, which is the 1200 block of Ormsby Lane, across from Partridge Meadows. There's an alleyway. The city owns it. We maintain it. We own the property at the very end of that and has discussed with an engineer in the past, last year, that we do some sort of turnaround in the property the city owns called a hammerhead style cul-de-sac. So we don't have enough room to do a complete circle cul-de-sac, but you got a hammerhead so that the trash trucks and any large vehicles like ambulances or fire trucks, which mainly it's the trash trucks, have to stop in LaGrange Road and back down that alleyway to service those residents. So if we had something at the end of the lot, that would make it a lot easier for residents and emergency services and other services alike. So that is in there. There's a plan drawn up already for it. Not saying we're going to get to it, but in the event we can, that comes out of this fund. Mainly, though, Warwick Avenue, Finley Avenue, and Vinecrest, most of the money would come from our general fund, the project $1 million in that budget, but in the event that some of these things could be used with road aid, that is in there as well. But the main thing is resurfacing and various repairs or resurfacing in Eagle Creek, which is Ormsby Lane and Westport Road. There's several sections of Holly Springs. Holly Springs, for the most part, has got great streets, but there's a few 10 by 15 little areas that need to have pothole patch just isn't going to cut it anymore. So we'd like to go mill those and fix some of those. And then a lot of it is over there behind Bowen Elementary, which I call Prospect Pershing Military, all those streets. So that's been read aloud. That is also included in that budget table that you were given in that center column. But that's the proposed use of road aid funds. Okay. One other thing, we got municipal order 51826A, and this is declaring a vehicle surplus. Unfortunately, we had an accident with one of our police vehicles. Everybody's okay, but the vehicle is a total by the insurance, and for the insurance to get rid of it, for us to get rid of it, has to be declared surplus. So that's before you this evening. The 2019 Dodge Charger with the VIN number. I just need a motion to act on that.
Motion to approve Municipal Order 51826A.
Thank you, Ms. Ricketts.
A second.
Second from Ms. Stanley. Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, order passes. Thank you very much. Next caucus meeting's June 15th. Summer Festival is June 19th and 20th. And the council meeting is June 22nd. So we do have third and fourth Mondays in June, and we're going to be here for those. Included in the announcements, the playground at Robeson Park, they got to it a week earlier than we made signs for, but it's a good thing because they might be done a week earlier than we hope, which is by the June Summer Festival. There is most of the playground new equipment has been delivered to the parking lot. They're going to move all that stuff out of the parking lot so we can maximize parking spaces, because despite the closure of the other playgrounds, the splash pad will open Saturday, if all goes well, this Saturday. So there will still be a splash pad. We've got farmer's market coming up Wednesday. With that, is there any other business?
I've got some more questions about the budget,
Okay.
since it's the first time I've seen it.
Yep.
So my questions are
Should have known better.
on page 3, under Tech plus Gov IT. So it says proposal B. So you're requesting for the 26-27, 72,000 for tech, but current year-to-date as of 4/30, which would what, leave 2 more months?
So there's still annual subscriptions we pay for, as well as the GovOS that says Tech Plus GovOS. That is our company that is providing our online platform for businesses to complete their occupational tax licensing process. They're still in the works of finalizing everything on that. We still owe them $20,000.
We owe them 20?
So you're going to have another 20 that goes into the year-to-date before the end of the year, yes. And as I mentioned before, the 72 was a little more than we should spend, but it's a newer IT company. We have a lot of different things that we, like several computers, need upgrades. Again, it's not $72,000 worth, but when you add all those Microsoft 365 and all the subscriptions that we have to have for, what's the other stuff where they call it, virus protection and everything else, that's all there.
Because it's 42,000, we've spent less than 30, and you're asking for 42,000.
I understand. So the budget committee did discuss this in depth.
That's fine, I'm not part of the budget committee, I'm a councilwoman, and this is
Okay.
my legal right to, I am obligated to review this. So please be patient, because this is the first time I've had the opportunity to ask these questions.
The budget meetings have all been public.
I
So-
also have a 9 to 5, and they've been during the daytime, so if they could be after 5, I'll be there. So my next question
Ms. Ricketts can answer
is
these
about the fence and the parking lot and the garage. I would like to take a tour I'd like to see their property, to see what needs to have, to be, why we need a new garage, and, but just to review it all. So
Okay.
whenever you can set that up with your
8136
public
Lake
works
Avenue.
person, that would be fantastic.
Well, it's open. You can see over the fence. You can see the parking lot. You can see everything. We'll open the garage for you between 8 and 4.
Is that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? or
Whenever you
there's
call
certain
me.
days?
You got to call me.
Are you gonna answer your phone?
502-200-3121 is my phone number, 502-200-3121.
And are you going to answer if I call you?
I answer this phone all the time.
Fantastic. My next question is,
Everybody else can write that down, by the way.
the roof replacement. So have you received a quote to replace the roof for City Hall?
We did a couple years ago, and we didn't end up doing the quote. So there's some other things. No, we don't have a quote yet to give you. And I told them I'm working on that. We're going to have 4 or 5 people.
So how did you come up
That's
with
what it says. It said,
$150,000?
that's the committee. We talked about that. It's probably going to be like 40. So it's called a placeholder pending RFP. And that's what the committee's recommendation was. So as I stated a little while ago, that was a little overzealous, but we can move that money around. So we'll have a new quote by the time this next reading comes out, and we'll have a firm number. And if it's over, is it $40,000 for the threshold now for bids?
No, it's
60.
Did it go to 60 or was it was 60 and then they reduced it to 50?
It's incremental over the next several years.
I don't think it's.
I'll check.
Hasn't gone up yet.
If it's over 50, then we'll bring it to you all at that meeting and say, so you can choose who you want, what roofing contractor.
Becky, as chairman of the committee, do you have anything to add to the questions that she had asked?
I think they were answered. The roof is on pending RFP.
So you think it's $40,000 to $50,000 to replace the roof, but we have $150,000 in the budget for it?
Can I speak on it? Do you hear
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of our committee members had recently gotten a roof replacement, and for their house, it cost $45,000. So we were just thinking that this space is a lot bigger than that person's house, so we kind of multiplied that by 3 with a little bit more.
That makes sense.
To leave a placeholder for that, because we're not sure.
And also, we thought, once, when you get into replacing roofs and things like that, there
Right.
may be issues with the soffits. There may be issue with some of the structural, since it hasn't really been taken care of or replaced for many years. So there's hopefully there won't be structural issues,
No.
but we wanted to allow room for that, just in case there were things that, more than just taking shingles off and putting shingles on.
Okay, well, thanks for explaining how you got to that number, because that's what I was curious about. And then, let's see. Police IT services. I see that year-to-date, we've spent $21,162, and you're asking for $55,000, so $34,000 approximately more than we've spent.
Becky?
Again, doesn't mean that you're going to spend all of it, but you'd rather be over than under. So
Defer to Chris, he can probably answer the
Yeah, just with the cost of everything going up, it's just a projection of where we think it's probably gonna be at.
So do you think it's gonna double?
I think it could, the way the price of everything else is going up. Yeah, it's kind of, rather be safe than sorry. It doesn't mean we'll spend that much.
I think we did that on a couple of line items where we kind of beefed them up just a little bit, just to allow, rather than having to come back and amend or pull money from somewhere else to fill in that space. It'd be better to plan a little bit over than go under and then go, oops. So
something else that's missing from this document that has been on all of the other previous budget documents that we've received is there's typically a column that says what you all are going to spend by the end of the year, what you've spent year to date, and what you anticipate spending for the rest of the year for those months. Is there some reason that column's been removed?
wasn't removed. I did this spreadsheet and I didn't have the information, so you got what you got.
Oh, so this wasn't prepared by the city, this was prepared by you?
No, it was prepared by me, and Becky forwarded the file to the mayor, and then the mayor finished up on the file.
I put the numbers in there though, so.
You what?
I gave the numbers for them as my initial projections in March.
It all
And you have
started with it.
the budget, number, that's the current year budget, 2025, 2026 budget, should be where we are at the end of the year for most of these items. That's your projected year-to-date spending.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything further? No other business from the council? We do have several guests. It is 7:20. If you do wish to speak, please do so, but remember, we're trying to keep about 3 minutes or so if you could. So if anybody from the floor would like to speak further, please come on up. Okay, yeah, motion to adjourn.
Peggy, do you have an update for us at all?
Sure, I can. It's not a lot, but yeah. Hi.
Hi, Peggy.
Peggy Meyer, 9004 Linden Lakes Place. Right now, I touched base back with MSD, with Lori Rafferty, and she confirmed that they are doing the modeling, and that their target is to be completed by June 30th, if not sooner, and be able to come and report on their work. That model only includes the Whips Mill Basin. They're relooking at the Whips Mill Basin, and that's the only thing they're looking at this time, if that helps. Okay, so hopefully by end of June, we'll be here at that meeting.
Good.
We had a little bit of discussion before we came in, and I think I made it clear my feelings.
Right.
That is going to destroy tons of trees in that area, which is what we were fighting so hard to keep when the daycare was coming in. And so I would be so opposed to this project as it stands. And I know you said that's 2 or 3 years, but I'll still be living here in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and me too, and you know,
so
hopefully if the Lord
cutting
keeps
all
me here.
those trees down is,
Yeah, but I think if we just,
I'm just wanting you to save some of your time, because we will.
yeah, that's number 2 on that map I gave you. And that you have to understand, that map was proposed by the Kentucky Division of Water, by Dr. Storrs. That was not proposed by MSD, okay? MSD's been included in that, and with discussions that we've had, you know, and with Dr. Storrs and the Kentucky Division of Water. That proposal, the number 2, when we talked about that, we all talked about trees that came up, you know, immediately. And he talked about other projects he'd done in the state. And those projects left what he calls it a green project, okay? And he did mention that MSD is a concrete kind of mindset, okay? So, and he said that, you know, we talked with Lori about that too. And his proposal for that section 2, where they come in and do a new channel, you know, is a green space proposal, not a, you know, come in and do concrete. You know, you already got rock there, you know, from the base.
Yeah.
Okay? The other thing we talked about was not removal of all the trees, like keeping a tree facade on the, you know, on this old Whips Mill side and on the other Whips Mill side. And if you go up and walk that property now, if you go in there, you'll see as it widens through there that it's
less tree.
That's a possibility, you know, maybe and you know, and so I think there's discussions there where you don't take away all that tree canopy, and if you go walk in between there, you could see where they could come in with their work and do that, and then have a rolling green space in the center and new tree plantings and things of that sort, which Karen, I think, is on the beautification committee, and she's kind of holding us to that, kind of, you know, as we go through those discussions. But
thanks, Karen.
MSD says they don't have enough for a capital project for next year for anything like that, so it definitely would not be this year. And by the time they do that money, it would be something we'd be talking about the second year, and we could all talk about green space and trees.
But can I just mention, that would be on private property. And so you would have to get the property owner's approval to do that, which is doesn't seem likely.
Okay. Number 2 on that project, okay, Yes, that is on the U of L property.
Right.
That channel and everything coming down through there is on U of L property. And yes, there would be discussions with U of L and NTS who manages that property. Yes. Yeah. And that they have been given that plan also with no comment at this time.
Well, it seems like it would only help them because of, you know, them wanting to develop that anyway. So, I mean, it would be.
No, that would preclude them developing the property.
Yeah,
They would not be able to use that property for anything because there would be a channel right through the middle of it.
Well, that channel does not take that strip of Whips Mill where Leaf Spring is currently proposed. That does not affect that in that area at all. It's behind that line, and it is directly within the floodplain area that would come down through there. So that piece of strip and that property is not included in any of the plans for like a flood mitigation.
Okay.
To do that. Yeah. So.
Good.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
To be continued, right?
okay. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just
Yeah.
have a super quick ask. Because I think most everybody knows that since we've expanded the market and we've tried to make some moves to make sure that we have more parking available. Like this week, because of all the rain coming through, we're gonna move back onto the pavement. But I was just gonna see, because based off some feedback from some of the farmers and health department regulations, is there a way that we can move the 2 porta potties down?
Wherever you want them.
Okay. So, because it's like the parking lot kind of.
Back in the grass or down in the parking lot? In the middle somewhere?
I don't think it'd be very smart necessarily to do the grass because of the rain and.
What if where you were first setting up?
Yeah, but remember how they're like right here,
Yeah.
right now? If we can move them to like here?
Yeah, where you
Is
were
that
parking
okay?
before when you
Yeah, like where I first had the farmers there.
Yeah.
Just because we've got the tents are, as long as it's not super wet, they're in the meadow now.
Yeah.
But I've moved, so like typically, as long as it's not wet, the food trucks will all be here and then my farmers are here. But my farmers that are right there, they
Don't wanna be next
they
to
do food.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I get it.
yeah.
Perfect.
So luckily, so far, there's been no issues, but we were concerned, like, if the health department says
Can I
something.
take one parking space from that area and put them both in that parking space where you're talking about right when you come up?
That should work. I think that should work.
Because there's curbs on all those islands, which would be ideal.
Yeah.
But if it goes there.
Or
so-
like on this corner, that might work better.
Okay.
Because there's 3 parking spaces here.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 for the temporary handicap. So if we could do it there, or just something, or even like right here
If you.
at the end, that might work.
I'll
Is
do
that
it.
okay?
It takes no time really, as long as I don't tip one over, which I've done.
Yeah, I know. I was like, let's not do that because that would not be
I just strap them to
fun.
the tractor and
Yeah.
take 'em. It's all good. Yeah, we can.
Well, I didn't know if that was, like, you guys are the porta potty people that do that, and
It is-
I've noticed they come every Wednesday to clean it anyway, so.
Yeah. But
Okay.
we'll move them just so it's done. I mean, they would move them for us, I guess, but it's not a huge deal. So,
Yeah, okay.
We'll get
Thanks.
together on that. My pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank
and
you.
everything else has been going great.
job.
We've had about 30 to 35 on average, because we've had some vendors that have lost family members and crazy things happening. I have 44 on the roster, for at least part-time vendors. We've had, some come and go that were gonna be one-time people. So if we include those, we're probably about 55 or so vendors at
good.
this point already.
It was very busy last week.
Yep, this week we're set to have Toys for Tots come out to do the first launch with that, so we're able to go ahead and start taking donations. I know it's gonna rain, but we've got a plan in place. And then starting next week, we've got CASA on board. So that if people that don't know that, that's the court-appointed special advocates. So they're gonna be out, 3 confirmed dates, one for, this month, or maybe June, I forget exactly the dates, I wrote it down.
But follow your Facebook page, right? I'm gonna tell everybody that. follow
527,
Ocean Park Farmers Market
617,
on Facebook.
715. Yep, so, anyway, just If you need any extra updates, just check our Facebook page, so there's that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
One last thing before we close, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already voted, vote tomorrow, please.
Just
Okay.
real quick.
All right.
I ran into a Boy Scout leader that was trying to sell his little things. They only had one night left. He had about 30 of them. He was trying to sell them at the farmer's market and was told, unless you pay, you're out of here.
No, it wasn't if you pay, because I had to go talk to him. It's farmer's market regulations across the entire state. He has to fill out an application and be on the roster, and he didn't, he just showed up.
Okay.
So I told him, he made this way more convoluted than what it needed to be. All I said was, if you want to come back, that's fine.
You only had them that night.
I understand that, but that's why we have to follow rules. And you can't just show up and be a vendor. You have to have an application and.
And then a question I had regarding budget. Do the vendors pay for their space?
It goes, yes.
Okay.
But we have it also worked out where certain people that are nonprofits, they're not paying a fee. It depends on, and that's embedded. I own the market, the city doesn't own the market. So all of those things go through me and the rules and regulations that were set forth by our council.
Okay, so the city is incurring minimal expense. You get the fees.
The fees go
Okay.
to maintaining the market itself.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
They don't go to my pocket, they go to maintaining the market. Yep. The only thing that we got from the city was the grant at the beginning to help with the LLC and a couple signage and the city tent. City tent. It's all broke down, it's all on camera.
That was
multiple times.
part of the minimal grant, yeah, that we gave them, so, yes.
I forgot this one thing, council member and Stuber brought these to us. These are thank you notes written by the kids from Bowen for the grant that we gave them. And I'm going to leave some up here, 'cause they're pretty cool. In handwriting from the, looks like maybe third, fourth graders maybe. I don't know, I don't have kids, so I don't know. But they are fabulous, and they each wrote thank you notes with pictures and things like that. So they're up here if you want to enjoy them, because I think that's really cool that the kids did that.
Thank
Or
you.
the teachers had the